Hey everybody, Tim Gresh here, professional bike fitter in southeastern Pennsylvania, and today's video will be a update on Bob and his 165 cranks. Now, about a year ago, I did a video which was a blind test where we tried 4 different crank lengths on a sizing cycle. Bob had to choose which one he likes. He went ahead with a 165 crank, so we're gonna get an update from Bob on how that's working for him. Also, the video got about 13,000 views and a lot of comments, about like 120 comments or so. So I went through the comments, some of the questions that you asked, and I asked those to Bob. So he's gonna discuss some of those, such as, does he regret 165 or would he have liked to go to something shorter? So we're gonna get some clarity on that. Lastly, for those of you who are new to this topic, crank length is the length of the crank arm on your bike as measured from the center here where your pedal goes in to the center there. You will see that printed on the inside of your crank right there, the length of what it is. So go ahead and check your bike to see what you have, just for reference. I have a bunch of other videos on my channel about crank length if you want to kind of dive into the weeds, but that's what crank length is. So let's get started. Okay, so we have Bob here today. Bob is back, and
after a year, right?
Yeah, it's been about a year, and the video that we did on the blind test has about 13,000 views, like 120 some comments.
Amazing.
So I'm going to ask you some of these, some questions from the comments, Bob. We're going to go through that.
Right.
Also, too, when we did that blind test, Bob, you were getting through a little bit of an injury.
Correct.
Quick, bring us up to speed there and what happened.
I was hit by a car mirror, and I had broken ribs, broken collarbone, and broken shoulder blade.
So yeah, so you were testing out the cranks, you know, you were rehabbing, you were able to get back to riding.
Right.
But now you've done some harder rides and you've really felt out those 165s that you landed on.
Correct. Right.
And you sent me a text the other day telling me how it felt. And it was very positive. So I was like, let's get you in here and an update. So I'll let you tell me how it is on 165s now.
My first rides were, I found myself climbing, especially long hills that I used to dread. And I was honestly climbing them easily. I was like, wait a minute, I'm already up to the top. It was so easy. It just made it easy. I was very grateful for that. But what I'm experiencing now after doing more rides is it's so much easier to turn the crank over. As I'm riding, it used to be, you know, it was hard. It was hard to turn over. With the shorter cranks, it's just easier. It makes you feel stronger. I'm not any stronger. I'm certainly not any younger. Overall, makes it easy to do, much easier to do, and much smoother. I feel more stable. Like it's hard to describe, actually. It really is.
And in your text message to me, you said, and it feels more fun. Like,
yes. Well, yeah, because it doesn't hurt so much.
Right.
Maybe that's the most important thing of all.
Yeah, there's a lot of different comments here, and I kind of just picked some. But one of the comments was kind of indicating, you know, I'm interested in trying shorter cranks, but I don't really have any issues. And you were kind of in that boat, Bob.
I had no issues.
You had no issues, and you
just wanted to try it, and could feel when we tested it more stability. I know when I went through the various lengths, in the back of my mind, I was prejudiced. In the back of my mind, I didn't want to stray too far from the 172.5s, but I did feel that the 165 hit it perfectly. I couldn't make a big mistake by going to 165s. It couldn't be that far off. I thought the 160s, I was too much of a hamster on a turnstile. I was just rapidly turning. It kind of made me feel less stable because I was like really, really gyrating. The 165s for me seemed to be the most comfortable.
Good. It's an interesting thing, I think, for viewers. You know, if you're considering the shorter cranks, even if you're not having an issue,
right,
there's some benefit there potentially if you give it a try. You can have some stability that you can unlock, I guess, going shorter like you did.
Right.
And you look good with a 172.5.
Right. I know they talk about hip angle and everything. I believe was a part of my problem. I can't pull my knees back to my chest. You know, I don't think, a lot of people can't, but I think if you can't, that might be a sign of stiffness in there or lack of flexibility. This not having to turn the crank so far just gives you a whole new base off of which you can rapidly turn the pedal and it's just easier.
Very interesting. Let's have you hop on the bike there.
All right.
We'll just start spinning the legs. Okay, so we have Bob on the bike. We figure if we're doing a video, let's get a little bit of a ride in, chat while we're pedaling. So some of the more other questions here, Bob. Do you regret going to 165? Do you think you would have gone with a 155 or 160? What do you think there?
No, only because the 165 feels fairly similar to where I was, but it's just easier. I think shorter, it was just turning too quickly. Too much rotation kind of take you off.
Right. Another comment was when we were doing the experiment, people were very surprised that when we went to like a 155, for example, it didn't feel like massively different.
Right.
Your first impression was like, oh, this feels good.
Yeah.
Did you have any thoughts on that? Like,
No, I guess the way I was thinking when I took the test was it feels good, but I thought it was too rapid, turning over too quickly.
okay. Now gearing.
Yes.
Everyone's talking about gearing and shorter cranks. Do you feel like you need to change the gearing on your bike?
No.
Or do you feel like you got used to it?
Yeah, the gearing is, I came off of a 1132. That was the old bike, and this is an 1134. So that actually gives me an extra smaller gear, lighter gear for climbing. This bike has electronic shifting, which also makes it easier.
So the gear ratios didn't seem to be like, you felt like you need to change gear.
Not at all.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious about that. Because a lot of people are kind of pondering, okay, you change crank length, do you change the gearing? And
I think the only way to tell is to not make the change up front, just change the length of the cranks and then ride the bike for a while and see how that feels. And then you can change if you don't like what you're feeling.
right. That's very good advice, Bob. I would agree. I usually think it makes sense just to keep running the current
Yeah,
gear ratio, get used to it. If you got to change it, maybe change it later.
right.
I don't think you need to change that along with the cranks. Now, as you've been getting used to this, when you're down in the drops
Yes.
and also just kind of getting lower in general, you're noticing that the hip's more open and you can get lower?
I can without a problem, yeah. Because of my shoulder injury, I'm tending not to. As it heals, I could go lower.
Okay, so you feel like you can kind of get lower and have more clearance?
Yeah,
The leg.
yeah, absolutely.
Very good.
Well, I don't know if you can see how, but my knee does not come up very far at all. There's a big opening here,
Mm-hmm.
and it just makes it easier.
Yeah. Yeah, just more room there for sure. Anything else you want to add on like how it's been for you?
Yeah, I was thinking ahead of time, what would I say here today? My best description is it's almost like you're riding and you're going up hills that you used to go up. And whereas it used to tire you, not that I don't get tired, certainly, but it's almost like having an extra low gear. You can turn the crank so quickly, so easily, that it encourages you to pedal harder. And that's why my speed has definitely gone up. I don't know if there's any other way to compare it. Today, it's like when you're going to you don't feel thirsty, you pick up a glass to drink it, and all of a sudden you feel how thirsty you are. And you can keep drinking and drinking and drinking, and the whole glass goes down. The same thing happens here, or you might feel that you're peaked out, but then you start to turn the cranks and you can see, yeah, I got more. I can do more. It's kind of a weird feeling
Interesting.
it's kind of a hidden gear,
Right.
so to speak.
So with the longer cranks, you might have felt like you were topped out in certain
Yeah,
situations.
exactly.
And with this, it's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I can push it a little bit more.
So if I get to a lighter gear and keep pedaling, I can pedal faster and keep pedaling without slowing down.
Wow. Interesting. Very good perspective there, Bob. That's cool. Some more questions here. These are actually just general questions for you. So there were comments there congratulating you or admiring you for how fit you are at your age. You're 78. You're going to be 79 in September this year.
Right.
What advice do you have for the youngsters out there riding into their 70s?
I think the most important thing everybody can do is stop eating sugar. I don't think that's going to make not going to make a lot of friends with that, but it makes a huge difference. I mean, as you age, things go. internal things go, and blood sugar will go up. So I think that maybe 3 years ago, my blood sugar was up. I wasn't diabetic. I was into the pre-diabetic range. So I just changed everything I did, all of my diet, all my sugar intake, all my carb intake, and that's made the biggest difference. I lost 20 pounds.
Wow.
So that makes it easier. Maybe that's the reason I'm doing it. Lose 20 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive. Every time I see you, you're always keeping trim and lean, and that gets harder.
It does.
As you get older. I mean, I'm 39.
Right.
I'm having a hard time dropping weight.
Yeah.
Now, I got to drop the sugar thing. But
yeah, sugar is and carbs, Well, simple carbs. I mean, carbohydrates turns into sugar eventually, depending on how simple or complex they are. And I'm no expert, so.
But avoid that sugar.
I won't say anymore.
That's really good advice. And then what's your weekly routine? Like in a good week, you're retired.
Right.
You're riding your bike.
Yeah, before I could ride outside, I'd ride 2 or 3 times a week indoors on Rouvy, taking various routes around the world. Even a route on Rouvy, which is pretty tough, that somebody put in there, that's the Brandywine Valve. So you ride from Delaware up to what they call Tunnels of Doom in Westchester. I guess that's Westchester there, or Exton, I guess, whatever. And so I would do probably 60 to 70 miles a week indoors. It's hard to sit on a saddle in a static position because it's not like outside. So I would usually ride for an hour and a half.
Okay.
That was enough.
Another question here. So Bob does a lot of indoor riding. You mentioned Rouvy there. What do you think of people in their 70s having a smart trainer and riding indoors? I mean, that seems like an important thing.
I think it really does. I think, as many people as I talked to in the club, because I rode about from January to June, I probably rode 1,600, 1,700 miles on the trainer indoors. And the Rouvy app is really cool because, I mean, I was using Zwift before. I think people will know Zwift. It's a make-believe world. It's all computer-generated images, and it's really good. But Rouvy, your avatar is placed in this position, whether it's in Switzerland or Paris. I've ridden Paris-Roubaix without the cobbles. So it was no cobbles on my trainer, but it's fun. And it's not like sitting on a static trainer looking at a concrete wall, cycling away and getting bored to tears. I think that makes a big difference in how you feel about riding a stationary bike.
Right.
If you set it up so that you're in a position to have some stereo speakers or TV or whatever, it makes it.
Set up like this where you're stationary.
Yeah.
And a screen.
I've got a screen. I've got like kind of a sound bar with Alexa, and I tell her to play all my oldie songs, of course, and it's great. It's really fun.
That's awesome. And you can get bonus miles in when you wouldn't necessarily want to get outside cold. We're here on the East Coast, so for anyone watching this that's in an area where you're not riding that much in the off season, I mean, definitely consider that smart trainer.
That is
extra miles.
That is. I mean, there's got to be a point for most people anyway, in age where if you don't keep it up, you really lose it quickly. And when I was finally able to ride outside, I could ride outside with people in the club, not the best people in the club by far. I'm in the lowest to low group. So I was there and I had no problem riding with them.
And also, Bob, what are your goals for cycling?
My annual goals are 3,000 miles, which is sounds like a lot to a lot of people, but there's a lot of people who ride a lot more than 3,000 miles a year. But I used to do more than that. COVID year, I did almost 4,000.
And then what about like average speed, pace? Like, is there something you're shooting for there?
Yeah, if I'm riding a trainer, generally I'm riding around 14 to 15, sometimes 17 or 18. If it's flat, it's, obviously much easier to go. And when I'm riding outside with the Westchester Club, generally we're shooting anywhere from 13 to 15 miles an hour.
With how much elevation in a ride?
That depends, of course. Generally it runs from I would say 1,500 to 3,300. I don't think our biggest climbs go much more than 30 or 2,300. I'm sorry.
2,300.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's, we got some rollers here. We got a lot of punchy climbs here too.
Right. And that, honestly, the rollers is where the shorter cranks seem to make the immediate difference. Where you used to ride rollers and say, why does that hurt so much? And with the shorter cranks, it doesn't hurt. You just power up.
Very, very cool.
It's an amazing thing. It's hard to believe that little change could make such a big difference.
7.5 millimeters.
Yeah, that's nothing.
All right, Bob. Well, thanks so much for updating us. And
Thank you.
any last words for your adoring fans?
No, just stay out there. And even though your radar may tell you a car is coming, it doesn't mean it's not going to hit you. So
Keep looking back.
yeah, don't take anything for granted.
All right. All right. Thanks, Bob.
All right, thanks.
Thanks for watching, everybody, and enjoy every ride.